Hey family, what's up? Welcome back to our YouTube studio slash office model video where we are working through getting this thing up and running. Last time we finished all the trim work and it's looking amazing. Today, we're gonna focus on things like that electrical right there and those electrical boxes that need to be dealt with and all the plugs and the electrical source outside at the breaker box. Big day, big video. So let's begin by showing you guys outlets. Okay, so this is the actual outlet that my computer will be plugged into. You can see if I back up, here's the window and the air conditioner will plug in here. This is actual Romex, and this is stranded individual wires that I had from a previous project. And so if I keep on cruising, you'll see in this one, there's actually two wires, or two sets of three for 6 total wires. The reason why is because if I zoom over there, that is where the junction box is. And the power is leapfrogging from one plug to the other and is ending right there. And so that's why you only have one wire, because this is not jumping from one plug to another. This is the end of it. So this here would be the final plug that has 6 total wires or 2 bundles of 3. So I want to show you guys the first step. And the first step is to grab your wires and strip them off. I spent $20 on this wire stripping tool. I have one, but it's disappeared on me, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it went. So the first thing you want to do is strip off these wires. Knowing what gauge wire you're working with is always a good idea with those little tools. This is a gauge 12 wire. So once you've separated everything out, I like to just go ahead and merge the ground wires together. Ground is normally not insulated, but in this case they are. But if you're using Romex, then it will be. And then once you have that done, you want to plug in your plug. No pun intended, right? So this is the plug that we'll be using. It has 2 silver or white screws and 2 bronze screws. And then you also have the green ground screw. Okay, so I'm gonna set that right there, and I've already got it done on this side so you guys can see what it looks like. Same idea, 2 silver or white screws, and those are where the white cables plug into. You can see I have one that's stranded and one that's not. The idea is just to make sure that you get as much or get these little wires as tight as you can, especially on the black wire. Excuse me, I'm trying to straighten out something. There we go. So you have the stranded wire and the non-stranded or solid wire. The benefits of the stranded is supposedly more amperage, but I just used it because I had it. You have the ground screwed into and tightened up to the ground wire, and then you have the black screwed into the bronze. So it's really easy to remember because the bronze and black both start with B, and then these wires over here, or these screws over here, look white or silver. So the white to silver or white to white, and then black to bronze, BB, and then ground. So once you get all that done, you can screw these babies into these holes, top and bottom, and put the faceplate on. And then you get what you have here, looking pretty. I wish that screw wasn't there, but it doesn't really matter. What that shows me is that the stud is on the right, not the left. So I don't mind having that information. And that is what I'll be doing with all of the plugs in here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total inside, I believe, and 2 outside. So that's what I'll be doing probably for the rest of the day today, since it is late afternoon, if I'm finally getting to this. And then we'll focus on lights and switches, which switches aren't 100% straightforward. And there's a bunch of wires here, so this would be a really interesting part of the video. Oh, don't forget, there's outside outlets as well, so we need to focus on those as well. So we'll get all those wired up, get this wired up, install the light fixtures, and then head out to the outside breaker box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All 10 plugs are done. It's about 5 p.m. I'm at the end of my brain power. But I'm gonna tackle one more little puzzle, and that is going to be the lights and the light switches. So here we have the only switch actually in the entire the entire building. So there's gonna be 2 switches in here, one for the lights that are up there, and they'll be on one switch, even though there's 2 of them. And then there's gonna be another switch that goes to this lovely light out here. Lovely light, love it. There's other wires in here though. There's the main hot that goes over to the junction box, which is in the wall over there, goes over to the greenhouse, and then goes across the property to the main. It's where the hot comes from. And then you have this wire here that's gonna go down and goes in the wall over to the AC plug. That's the only plug that's on this particular circuit. So I have to mix all these together, and the real simple way to do that is all of the whites have to go together, all the grounds have to go together, but there's a discrepancy about the blacks. The blacks are the hot. So what we're gonna be doing is plugging one black from this I, which is, as a label, it means inside light. There's also O for outside light and M for main, and then terribly written AC. So this black here is gonna have to go on a switch, and then the main is also gonna have to go on that switch. That way there's a break between the hot and the light. And then same thing with the other switch. So I'm gonna have to make a jumper or 2. And then that's pretty much it. Actually, that's not too complicated. It looks and sounds complicated, but before I get it all wired up, I'm gonna do a bunch of wire nutting. I think there's gonna be two big wire nuts in here, and then the switches. So I'll explain that once I get to that point. Okay, here's a good stopping point. So, upon further discovery, I actually don't have the switches. I haven't bought them yet, which is surprising because I have everything else. Totally forgot. But this is what's going on. So this is the switch, the black wire for the inside switch and the black wire for the outside switch. So those 2 will be connected to the 2 switches on the top. This wire that is coming out of this orange wire nut is connected to all the blacks from the main and from the AC. So this is what I call a jumper, and it is going to go in the bottom of probably the outside switch. And then I'll also create another jumper that goes around and connected to the same screw. So they'll be connected and touching, and it'll go into the bottom of the inside plug or inside switch receptacle, whatever. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. I've got the ground here, it's all connected, and I've got all the whites connected here. So it should be good to go. If only I had the switches, like the actual physical switches. So I guess now I'll focus on getting those babies put up. All right, guys, here we are next day. This wire coming out of this conduit here is the wire that goes to the greenhouse and the shed. So what I have to do is cut that wire, or cut the conduit about here, put on an adapter with some flexible tube, and we're gonna run that up into this junction box and then run it out to this conduit here, which is gonna run over to the breaker box. That needs to be done probably when somebody else is here, I guess when my wife gets back from work this evening, just to make sure, you know, I don't die or anything. So I'm gonna do this part and also run the wire, get it up into the box, and then plug it all in later this evening. There we go. Junction box is all wired up, ready to go. The conduits are running where they're supposed to. These 2 here run out to the water well, so I got to do that eventually. And I actually got the wire, because remember earlier it was running off over here. I actually got the conduit cut. Here it is here. And it's running up, and it's in the breaker box, and the actual breaker is right here. This is the beast. I haven't turned it on because I'm afraid to. I'm gonna wait until my wife's home. But there's a big on-off switch here. So I just turned it off and no big deal. So yeah, I'm gonna have to label and take out one of those things, and I hope I don't forget about that. But yeah, that's it. It's done. It only took me like 4 hours. So while I wait on my wife to get back, I have finished the switches. So obviously nothing will happen, but this switch is for inside, that switch is for outside. I got the lights mounted and the shrouds are here. So I'm gonna make sure they work beforehand. I think they turned out really nice, actually. You know, because the trim on either side just kind of completes the look. And then the finale, besides hitting the switch, obviously, the AC has been installed. And I did that on my own too. It was difficult. So because of the way these windows are designed, I had to block, because they come with these little brackets that you screw into, but I couldn't do that. So I just cut the perfect length blocks to keep the window from being able to open any further and let the AC fall out. And then I wasn't able, because it's such a tight fit, I did add this board, but it's such a tight fit that I wasn't able to get the brackets in there to screw into on both sides. And so I'm gonna have to get brackets on the outside underneath to support the weight. But yeah, also I had to add another 1x4 on the bottom and the left, just because there's a little bit of extra space. And if you look real careful, I put that expansion foam in there to seal it up. Yep, and it's actually like all back in there too. I just slid the board in there. And then we have this one, which I had some foam that they sent with me here. So that foam may do the job. I might spray some of that expansion foam in there too, but I just want to see how this reacts, because there's no telling how like far out it's gonna try to come. And I'm hoping it doesn't break anything. I've heard bad things, so I tried to go light on it, but I just needed to fill the space. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully next clip, guys, is an image of me in the light. Yes, guys, the electrical is working. And so is my new AC. Yeah, I got all of that installed today. This was a 2-day process making this video. I've got it on 61. I wanted to see if I can get it I wanted to stress test it, you know what I mean? But yeah, all the plugs are working, all 3. I've got this plug that the AC is on its own, and then I've got the other plug over there. That's the end of this one, and that's the end of this one. So the end of all 3 circuits are right next to each other, which is, I think, pretty cool design. So yeah, the electrical is working. It all worked exactly as planned, and I am beyond stoked. Now, there is an issue. If I flip this switch for the outside light, something goes wrong and it flips the breaker. So I'm gonna have to figure out what happened. But the problem is obviously, it's obviously either in here or out there. So I'll have to double check all that stuff. Probably start on the outside because the inside's a mess. You guys saw how I did that. So yeah, guys, the electrical is working. I now have AC in the shed. It is now officially an office, let's just be honest. And tomorrow I'll be working on the floor, and then we'll be moving in, hopefully this weekend. So be looking forward to more videos, guys. Super stoked. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.